This is a simple application I have run. There are, let me just open. So I am running two applications. This is my shell. This is my micro frontend. So for the sake of time, I'm not building it right here because sometimes the issues also start creeping in while building this. So this is how it looks like right now. If I load this, so I'll show you how the network actually looks like. So this is loading your main shell application. Then these are your general polyfills main. This is the main file. If you see, this is referring to another port. This is the one micro frontend it is including. So it loads this micro frontend file in your application for the reference at the runtime itself. And then these are other dependencies probably being loaded. But you see, when I go, if I clear this out, I'll go to flights. This is the micro frontend which is running. Then it will load the file for this particular module, flights module. It won't load at the time you are at home. Only it will load the entry point for that particular project. And this way it avoids loading multiple JavaScripts at the home part, and only the entry point is loaded so that integration is easy and it does not start taking too much time. I'll just walk through the code once. So these are some of the scripts being run for your micro frontends. Like this is called shell. Then you can also use concurrently to run multiple shells at the same time. Right now, I had built and deployed using this serve distribution. You can also start your micro frontends concurrently, but generally you would be working with a very large application and you can't be expected to have a concurrently for everything. So you would have whatever application you want to run, you can just start those applications. Right now, generally, we are used to having just one npm start, which will start our whole front end monolith. But when you have micro front end, you have to individually run those applications. Obviously, you can write scripts for that, but manually doing is also not a bad idea because you don't know which two application you want to run together. Um, this is the not this is the client, sorry. So in the TS config file, like I am using two libraries, shared and auth library, which are doing something. You can have components in that. Auth library can obviously handle your authentication and authorization part of it. Shared libraries can have components, reusable components, or some utility functions you don't want to repeat. So that way you can make use of Angular libraries as well. Instead of making big huge libraries which actually start impacting performance, you can also use smaller libraries so that you don't have to build a whole library at once. And when you are changing something in one library, it does not reload everything else. So that is something else that's not part of micro frontend, but that's just part of best practices in Angular, you can say, while using libraries. So we tend to use one common library and we put every component inside it, and that becomes pretty big to manage. So this is how you give dependency paths so that this is not imported everywhere else. Then I'll go to the shell application and to its webpack config. You will notice Angular actually does not have webpack config used now with Angular JSON, but with module federation, you have to have this webpack file, and Angular JSON also will not use your traditional Angular task. Instead, it will use the custom task. One second, let me just open Angular JSON. So it uses this npx build plus, but while you see the Angular, it uses Angular slash something and not this one, because there is no way to configure an external webpack file right now with your traditional Angular builder. So here you will just give, since we are using promise, I'll show you. That's why we have removed from here. Otherwise, you can always add here also. But a better way is to put in your main.ts this remote entry. Then these are the shared libraries you don't want to be including every time. And the shared libraries I just mentioned, shared lib, auth lib. These are the published libraries, and these are our libraries which are we are making. So this way, these will be loaded at the with the vendor JSON and sorry JS, and you don't have to load individually these things. So this allows you to do that. These are the basic web configurations we need to take care of. Others are pretty, boilerplate. Then this is the place where you give a remote entry. So you can have multiple files. I had just loaded once. If you make another micro front end, you can just do this and have this like MFP2. And if you decide the port is 3001, you can add this port. So this way you can add all your remote entries here. So you can have 20 micro front ends and they can all be loaded here. So if you see this micro front end actually exposes your module, flights module as module, which is basically being imported there. That's about it on how micro front end actually works. This is a very use case based topic where you have to figure out your application use case and build upon it. Webpack module federation also allows you to do with React with Vue. So I had just found one application online on where they had actually included all the frameworks, major frameworks. If you see, this is they have used React here, they have used Angular. These are all Angular, and then they have used Vue also. They have also used a older Angular JS application. So you can include any frameworks, but generally it is not you know prescribed to do that because it just creates a lot of overhead as well. So pick one framework and try to stick with it because generally these all three Vue, Angular, and React have all the major things you would ever want, so that you don't have to include multiple files and don't load your browser too much because the whole JavaScript application actually runs on your browser.